Hello, Codeworms. So today we have another guest speaker, Mr. Jaydev Datta. He is currently working as the Director with Strategy and Analytics Consulting in Deloitte. So thank you, sir, for joining us today. So
Yeah,
let's
my
dive,
pleasure, Aryan.
so let's dive right into the questions. So the first question
Yeah.
is, when and why did you decide to take up engineering as your career choice?
Okay. So, to be honest, it was my dad's choice. So back in our days, there are a couple of choices. We didn't have the kind of options that you have now, which you're very lucky. So most of us either used to do medical or engineering, right? So those were the two prominent choices. And I was good at both maths and biology. So after my 10th, in our state board, after my 10th, we had to decide whether to go for maths or for biology. And I decided to go for maths as per my dad's guidance. And then obviously the path became clear because after 10 plus 2, then engineering was the stream that I wanted to go for. Yeah.
That's nice. Can you talk to us about your typical workday?
Okay. So, pre-COVID workday used to be a bit different. Post-COVID, it's a bit different. And when I say different, let's talk about the pre-COVID one because that's my usual workday, and hopefully that is what I'll return to very soon once we are over this. So basically, I'm a consultant. So being a consultant means uh, there is a lot of travel. So a lot of my time is spent traveling to client wherever my clients are. So some of my clients are across different cities in India, and some of them are in other countries like Australia, Middle East, and in Europe. So depending on the client, where the client is, usually I have to travel for meetings to close the discussions with them, to run the projects that we are running with them. And then a part of my time also goes into managing my team, doing other firm level activities, and other.
So
But
that's
but
nice.
all in all, yeah, all in all, Aryan, travel is an essential part of consulting. So any of you who are aspiring to be a consultant, be ready to travel.
What exactly is a consultant? Can you please explain?
Okay, so very good question. Sometimes we also wonder what we do as a consultant, but okay. Uh, so let me put it in a more simpler manner, right? So suppose you have some problem, right, which you are not able to solve on your own, right? I'll say, uh, I'll give you example like Amazon, right? So say you're Amazon, right? And as Amazon, your sales are dropping, right? So, and you want somebody who comes with retail industry background. Amazon is retail industry, right?
Hmm.
And somebody who also knows how to manage sales in a retail industry, how to grow sales in a retail industry, and who has done it with multiple other clients like Amazon, right? So then they will, so that is a consultant, right? So Amazon will then hire us and tell us that, okay, this is the problem that we have. Can you help us solve this problem, right? And then, so even though I am from the technology side of things, everything that I do is solving a business problem. So a consultant solves a business problem for their client, for his or her client, right? That is what a consultant is. Now to solve that problem, you might need to use technology, right? Which is what my strength is, right? Which is what my area is. Or you might need to have some other things come in, like functional consultants or digital people who will help solve your problem. But essentially, a consultant is somebody who solves clients' problems.
Thank you for explaining. So the next question is, when you talk about international experience, where all have you
Mhm.
worked?
So I've worked for a long time in the US. So in US, I was in East Coast. So there is a city named Cincinnati in Ohio State, if you know about that. And you have Cincinnati Open, right? That is a tournament. It's not a Grand Slam, but that's a tournament that happens in Cincinnati, right? So I spent around 5 years there, and then amongst other places, I have been to multiple other countries like Australia. I've spent some time in Australia. I've been in Singapore, and I have been in the Middle East as well, Dubai, basically.
That's pretty interesting. So, how is the work environment outside different from that in India?
Okay, see, the work environment gets molded by the culture of that country, right? So every country has their own culture, and the work environment is as per the culture of that country, right? So if you go to US, for example, right? So they're very straightforward. They get to work pretty quickly. They won't beat around the bush, right? They won't, means they will chit chat, but at the end of the day, they just want to get to business pretty quickly. They get to the point. They're very straightforward, right? uh, if you go to some of the Southeast Asian countries, right? So then there is a lot of hierarchy there, because if you understand hierarchy, like, somebody will take the decisions only at their level, then they will assign the rest of the decisions to their boss, and so on and on. So there is a lot of respect, value, hierarchy, those kind of things come into play when you work with countries like Japan and all. India, we are more flexible, right? So we usually work longer hours than any other geography, for whatever reasons, but we work pretty hard. So it depends on the people out there. Australia again, uh, uh, as the other extreme, they're very friendly people. So most of their business happens over a mug of beer, you can say. So like in the evening, you go out, you party with your clients, and then they discuss business as well. But it's not like that maybe in some other parts, right? So it depends on the culture of the country.
That's nice. So, since you work with AI, can you tell us a bit about how AI impacts the human race? Which of these impacts excite you the most?
Yeah, so AI, as you rightly said, there's a huge impact of AI on humans. And uh, again, there are both, as we are trying to explore the area more, there are both positive and not so positive impacts as well, right? So if it's a I like the way where it is aiding humans to make better decisions, right?
Mhm.
Say, uh, I'll give you an example, right? Maybe now, I'm not sure if you guys seen, there are these glasses that blind people, that are there for visually challenged people, right? Then if you wear those glasses, it will tell you who is in front of you, right? It can tell you whether your mom is sitting in front of you, right? You can point it to a menu card. It will read out the menu card for you, right? It will tell what dish is in front of you, what is the shape of the dish, whether it's in a bowl, whether it's in a plate, right? So you just wear those glasses, and those glasses will act like your eyes, right? So those are the applications that you get really excited about, because those are real, in the real sense, applications of AI that is helping improve your lives, right? So those are anything else. Please feel free to ask me more.
Okay,
I'm not
so
sure how much time you have budgeted for this, but if you have more time, I can go on and on.
is there any AI application that you have worked on that we would have seen or used?
Okay, well, one of them is a chatbot. So have you used chatbots on several websites, right? So if you go to some of the banking websites, even some of the retail websites, right? So there's a icon in the corner, bottom left corner usually, or some place which has, do you want to chat with us, right? So
Yeah.
essentially in most cases it goes to a chatbot, right? So there's a chatbot in the end. that can understand the question that you are asking, that can decide what is the right answer of all the question answers that it has in its knowledge base, and it can respond you back. So one of the areas I work with is chatbots, right? So that is one of the AI areas I work with.
It's very cool. So what skill set that you have has served you best in your career?
Okay. So basically, I think the foundation that I learned in my initial years of my career, or the foundational elements rather, has always helped me, right? So I know, as a basic skill, my skill is all about data, right? So there's a lot of data that is there around you, which most of you are trying to make sense of, companies are trying to harness, right? And I understand data very well. So when you go to Facebook, for example, right? If just before going to Facebook, you were browsing some product in Amazon, say Xbox, right? So you were looking for Xbox price in Amazon, and then you go to Facebook. On Facebook, you will immediately see an ad of Xbox, right? How does it do that? Because it is able to relate the data or your browsing history through the cookies and other things, and it is able to relate that this is the same person on Facebook, right? And it shows you that relevant ad. So my core skill is data. I have learned a lot about data in the initial part of the career, how to store data, how to manipulate data, and how to use it for your advantage, right? Or for your purpose, right? And the entire world is now about data, right? So there's a lot of data that is getting generated about you. There's a lot of data that is getting generated in this video call as well, right? So if you are able to interpret that data, if you are able to interpret my facial expressions, you can tell, so much more about me, right? So that's what my basic strength is.
So how do you manage time management when managing 135 people?
Okay. So again, managing 135 people in a consulting firm is slightly different than it would have been in any other industry. And the reason being, in consulting, everybody is an expert in their own field, right? So if Aryan, like you are an expert in what you are doing, right? I don't have to look after you uh, all the time, right? I don't have to see what Aryan is doing at 10 o'clock, what he did at 12 o'clock, what you do at 12 o'clock, right? I know that you can manage your work, you can manage whatever you are doing on your own, and you will come to me for help, or I need to only check at only certain intervals, right? So in consulting, that makes my job easier. First of all, I don't have to look or interact with all the 135 people all the time to find out what they are doing. Instead, they are good at what they are doing, and that helps my job a lot. But having said that, they still does not solve my bandwidth problem. So the other thing that you have to do is to learn how to delegate, and that's the management funda. But essentially what we are saying is, if you want to manage a class, you need to have a class monitor, right? Because the teacher cannot manage the class on their own, right? So they have a class monitor, they have prefects, right? So what they are doing is delegation, right? So some things that can be done by the monitor, the teacher does not need to do that, right? Or if prefect is able to do some things, the teacher does not need to do that. You have house captains to run the houses, right? So you do delegation. So when you delegate, you give more responsibilities to your team that is working with you, and that helps you manage your time better as well, right?
Interesting.
So
Is
that's
your
how I
team
manage time.
is your team all in India?
Yes. So most of my team, or almost all of my team, is in India across 4 locations, uh, or 5 locations. So many of them are in Pune, where I am based out of. Some of them are in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad.
That's nice. So what advice would you give to us children regarding the technical field?
Okay. So one thing that you need to understand is, and I am, so if you see my profile, not only I work in analytics, I also work in robotics,
Hmm.
right? So I also work in the area of automation, right? So one thing that you need to understand is that the careers that are there today will not be there when you grow up, right? uh, it's changing very rapidly, right? Which is why you are, this one example is this interview, right? You're trying to learn what should you study for, what should you get trained on, right, or skilled on to be able to have a career, right? So that is going to change, right? So automation, robotics means is coming in large way, which means anything that can be done without intelligence will be done by bots, will be done by robots. Up to a certain extent, some things that need intelligence will also be done by robots, right? So which means, so the sci-fi movies that we all see, it's almost, we are almost reaching that, right? So which means what the jobs of the future, right? If you have to scale yourself technically, the jobs of the future will be something that robots cannot do for us. And those, what are those things? Which is a deep understanding of some subject area, right? Which, like banking. If you are a, if you have very good in-depth knowledge of banking industry, that is not something that robot can so easily replicate, right? If you are uh, even in technical industry, wherever you, it requires your creativity, wherever it requires your intelligence, which robot cannot easily replicate emotions, right? Those are the things robot cannot replicate, right? Those are the areas you should get trained on, right? So now if you see, most of the, for most of the doctors, right? So now robots are also learning how to do surgery, right? So means the doctor's jobs is also changing, sorry. Similarly, engineers jobs are also changing. Whatever we used to do, it did not require much intelligence, can be done by the robot. So learn something that is requires a lot of intelligence that only human beings have, right?
So is
So
AI offered in colleges in India?
yeah, it is now. It is becoming more and more mainstream. So many of the organizations like Deloitte, or other organizations like IBM and all, they have tie-ups with colleges, right? And they help colleges set up AI labs, right? We also help colleges set up AI labs that are co-run by Deloitte and the college. So if you go to one of those colleges, you will have an AI lab which is being run by the college and in partnership with one of the industry partners, right? Like Deloitte or IBM, or any other Microsoft, right? And that becomes your opportunity to actually learn about these things in practical.
So we at Codeworms are learning a bit about web technologies like HTML,
Mhm,
CSS, and JavaScript. So do you have
mhm.
any suggestions for what we can continue learning?
Yeah, so uh, web technologies are again one of the base technologies, right? And when I call it base technologies, because they use low level programming languages. At least you can use low level programming languages. There are many tools nowadays. Okay, so what I would suggest is learn the low level programming languages very well, right? So if you it is possible to, for you to use a tool and develop a website as well, correct? It is possible, right? There are so many tools out there that can help you develop a website by using the tool features. You can do that, that's not but at the same time learn how the tool is doing it using Java or HTML at the backend. So always learn the low level programming language, because that will give you a good understanding of the concepts. If you learn everything via tools because it makes your job easier, then you are not actually learning the core concepts, right? So learn the core concepts by learning low level programming languages, and then once you know them well, you can always use tools that are available. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
can you please tell us a bit about your experiences while talking to different business schools? Any one experience in particular that you would like to share?
Yeah, sure. So I give a lot of I guest lectures, right? So uh, I go to ISB, which is my alma mater as well, for a few guest lectures. Then I go to Symbiosis, which is a college in top college in Pune, for lectures again. So one of the things that I am finding now in these B schools that I go to is that the they interact a lot with the industry like us, right? To find out what is relevant in the actual job, right? So earlier it was when we were growing up in our when we were studying in colleges, whether it be engineering schools or B schools, it was more theoretical, right? We have to rely on books for knowledge, right? Now there's a lot of industry participation. There's a lot of guest lectures by the industry, by people like us, who help orient the class for what is the industry needs, right? Because ultimately that was your earlier question as well, right? What do we need to learn, right? So you need to learn something that is going to give you a job, right? At the end of the day, when you come out of college, you want to do a job, you might also want to build a startup, but you want to have a skill that will help you do that. And that is what most engineering schools and B schools are focusing at. So when I go for these lectures, mostly the topics that I take are also what we are doing in the industry today. And 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 the students are also, or the classes or batches are also very keen to learn what is out there, what is, like you said, right? What are we doing in AI, what are we doing in robotics, what are we doing in analytics, so on and so forth, right?
So on this note, I would like to ask that if you have like a group of fresh graduates, and
Mhm.
if you would want to hire them into like Deloitte, so what skill
Mhm.
set would you look for?
Okay, so I just look for two things: aptitude and attitude, right? So if you have, because nothing in the world is rocket science, right? Unless you want to go to NASA, if you have the right aptitude, which is the right IQ, and you have the right attitude, attitude is your willingness to learn, right? Then you can obviously learn anything. So that those are the two things that we look for if a person has the right aptitude and attitude. But having said that, obviously we do also check whether they have any background in the technology areas that we are hiring for, right? Then how are their communication skills, right? Communication skills are very important. Like you are in this interview, right? We are in this interview, we are able to communicate well with each other, right? So communication skills are important, because in consulting we are always in front of our clients, right? So technical skills for the job that we are looking, and communication skills. Then some kind of leadership skills as well, they are also very important, right? But at the end of the day, as I said, short and sweet answer for me is attitude and aptitude. If you have those things right, then you can probably you will do well in any job that you take up.
So now the last question is not related to like technology. It's just like your hobby. So what inspired you to take up cycling? And when do you
Oh,
find
okay.
the time to cycle?
Okay, so that's a good question. So cycling, it's is one of the things that I picked up, I think, a couple of years back, and I had a very unhealthy lifestyle because I was traveling so much, and we have to work long hours as well, right? So I'm working around 12 hours every day, and then because of that, my fitness levels were pretty low. And so finally one day, you know, and again, this is how world technology is changing the world. Have you seen these Yulu bikes? Do you know about these bikes that so Yulu bike is a type of it's a company that puts bikes in your societies, right? These cycles in your societies, they are locked with a GPS lock, okay? And you can download a Yulu app on your mobile phone. You can charge that Yulu app with some money, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, and then you can go and scan it on the cycle that is there in your society, and it will open, the lock will open, and you can take it for a ride, and you can keep it anywhere else on any of the other places, right? So that came to our society, and I started using that. So first day I was barely able to cycle 3 kilometers before I ran out of breath, and then slowly I started liking it. Then I got my own bike, right? And now I have completed my SR. So SR is a super randonneur, which means you have to complete 4 rides of 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers, and 600 kilometers in a single season. So the longest ride that I have had is 600 kilometers, and it is a non-stop thing. So I completed it in 35 hours.
Oh,
So,
that's pretty cool.
so now it has become a passion. And when I get time, once something I learned one thing in the process, uh, as long as somebody is pushing you to do something which you don't like, you won't do it well, or you will leave it after some time, right? But if you do something with that you really like, you will do it on your own, right? So cycling became something that I started liking. It became a passion, and there was no looking back after that, right? So I managed to find time somehow.
Lastly, we would just like to extend a big thank you to you for like donating your time and speaking with us today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Aryan. It was a pleasure talking to you. And at any point, if you or any of your friends have any questions at Code Worms or otherwise, please feel free to get in touch. More than happy to talk to you.
Same here. Thank you.